I feel like our congressmen should kind of pay attention and get the job done, Do what you need to do to pay these people. They're trying to do their jobs, If their salary was cut, would they be able to sustain for a while? A lot of these people are not making a lot of money in the first place, and now it's
hard to expect somebody to come work for free.
I'd like to see our congressmen stand in this line and see if they enjoy it like the normal everyday voters do. So remember this when you vote in November about who caused this.
Wow, 2 minutes before the top of the hour, travelers yesterday going through the long lines at Bush Airport in Houston.
And I can tell you, I was over at LaGuardia, and again, what I heard, it's great. And I always found that when you were campaigning, it always helped. I knocked on 10,000 doors. I was always out. It's always great hearing from people because you hear things from the working Americans that pollsters and focus groups can't show you. And what I heard was, wait, Republicans want to run Venezuela? They want to run Iran, and they can't even run LaGuardia? It was a lot saltier language.
Yeah, but
3-hour waits.
At LaGuardia? Salty language? I can't believe it.
This is an escalating safety situation and security situation. Welcome back to Morning.
Hold on. As we were saying before, we were going to talk.
Yeah.
And then we are going to get the latest news from Johnny Lemire.
Oh.
He's at the Truth Social desk.
Yeah.
Willie, he's at the Truth Social desk. Lemire.
This just in.
Okay.
So the president has weighed in. Good news. He says enough is enough.
Oh, good.
Bad news. Not about what you think.
Oh.
He's saying this is the moment for Republican senators to blow up the filibuster.
Oh.
He has returned to the filibuster. And if he says if we do that, in fact, as I'm reading one Truth Social post, another one has come in, all caps, that simply says terminate the filibuster. So this is real time. Thank you, Mr. President. He says terminate the filibuster and get our airports and everything else moving again because it's time to complete all 5 items the Save America Act.
Mr. President, could you say hi to us on the next Truth Social?
Is that the Cheat in the Election Act?
That is
let's call it the right thing. It's not Saving America.
That's the Rig Election Act.
It's the Cheating in the Election Act.
Yeah. So it's Rig the Elections Act, getting rid of a form of voting that the president, Willie, and his family use to vote.
Every
time they use that form, every time, and have in the past. And so what they want to do, it's not voter ID. This Rig the Election bill actually disallows driver's licenses in 45 states from being used as ID.
Are TSA agents being held in the middle of this? And so we don't have security at our airports? These people can't do their jobs? They're not getting paid because he wants to cheat in the election?
And, Willie, these people are suffering. I want to say again, welcome back to Morning Joe, top of the hour. I want to say again, Democrats have 10 times tried to get unanimous consent to pay TSA. And 10 times Republicans have killed the efforts. Republicans had 10 chances. Look at this picture. This is happening all over America right now. Republicans in the Senate had 10 chances to stop this. And 10 times they voted not to pay our TSA agents. 10 times, Willie, they had a chance to avert a major security crisis that's coming from Iran now. Certainly our airports. This will be seen as a soft target when you have what I saw yesterday, 4 TSA agents handling a line that went for 3 hours. And Republicans keep voting no. I want to say it again. Republicans keep voting no. Republicans keep making this happen because they keep voting no for TSA funding. It's just, let's not complicate this. I know a lot of you people watch programs that think you're stupid, okay? We don't think you're stupid. We're just going to tell you how it is. If Republicans had voted yes, if everybody said, yeah, let's pay our TSA agents. TSA agents would be paid right now. It's that simple. It really is. I mean, is Donald Trump going to veto? If he does, then it'll be Donald Trump. See, that's what it is. They don't want Donald Trump to be exposed as being the guy that vetoes a bill that would pay are TSA agents. So they're trying to protect him from being embarrassed. And what's he doing this morning? He's saying, let's pass the Rig the Elections Act. An act that's not about voter ID, because I support voter ID.
Not about saving America.
I support voter ID. 85% of Americans support a voter ID. Bring your driver's license or some other ID to vote. It makes good sense to me. It always has. But that's not what this bill is. This bill actually stops the type of voting that the president and his own family use, and also disallows 45 states' driver's licenses from being used as voter ID. So it's to rig the election. It's plain and simple. And they're holding our TSA agents' salaries hostage, Willie. And again, it's not only about the poor people who are having to wait, that are trying to get to work, trying to get their family, their sick family members to medical care, who are like me, trying to figure out how to get the family together for Easter or Passover, right? But they're not doing it. Republicans every day have a chance to end this. And every single day, the Republicans that run Washington, D.C. won't do it.
And what in the hell do any of those voting restrictions you talked about have to do with the pictures we're seeing right now? People just want these lines to end. This is completely preventable, as you say. Even Majority Leader Thune had the deal, went to the White House a couple days ago, and Trump said, no, you can't do it. You got to do the Save America Act, as John just read in that post. This is a crisis of their own making. This does not have to be this way. People don't have to wait 4 hours in line to get through TSA and miss all those appointments and family gatherings, as you say. But it's happening by choice, by Republican choice. And it doesn't need to be this way. And just listen to the voters. Listen to those people standing in the lines. It's amazing to me. Donald Trump, who has a flourish and a flair for the dramatic, doesn't say, you know what? I'm going to be the hero of this story. I'm going to write a check and pay for all those TSA agents until Congress gets its act together. Well, Elon Musk offered that last week. But I'm just surprised that politically, as a matter of self-preservation, if not for security and for taking care of all these people who need to get places, they don't end this like right now.
So let's talk about security, because while this is a huge story in terms of people's ability to travel safely, to get through the airports, the lines are unbelievable. It's a big story. But the bigger story may be the impact on the security of our nation at this time. Joining us now, former head of Homeland Security, Jeh Johnson. Mr. Secretary, give us the big picture here about what is happening in this country in terms of the breakdown of our security apparatus at a time of heightened security, given the war in Iran.
So what I'm going to say here is a nonpartisan statement, not directed at Democrats or Republicans, directed at both in Congress. In my judgment, what is happening right now is sheer madness. We are in a heightened threat environment because we have gone to war, and that's what it is, a war. It's not an operation. We've gone to war against the government of Iran, a state sponsor of terrorism. Yet the department of our government that is there to protect the American people is defunded right now and has been defunded for the last month and a half. When you drill down, the agencies of DHS that the Democrats are most angry at, CBP and ICE, are actually being funded through discretionary funding, through aggressive reprogramming. And the agency of our government that interacts most with the American people, TSA, is not being funded right now.
Right.
I am concerned that what's happening now is going to break the back of aviation security in this country. Hundreds of TSOs are quitting in Atlanta and elsewhere. Atlanta is the busiest airport in our country. 40% of TSOs didn't show up this week to work. The lines are 4 and 5 hours long, as you've been reporting. And Congress is about to go on their spring break.
Good luck getting there.
And when they get to the airports, I guarantee you none of them will wait 4 or 5 hours in the lines. So we've got to get out of the business, in my judgment, of coupling policy disagreements in Washington Congress with funding.
For national security issues.
The most basic Joe, you know this. The most basic function of Congress is to keep the lights on, pay the bills,
keep Americans
power
safe.
of the purse. Yet every year now, and more frequently than every year, we get into these funding fights because there's a policy disagreement. Somebody wants to couple one with the other. And we are where we are in a heightened threat environment. DHS is not being funded.
Mr. Secretary,
the American people deserve to be really, really angry.
If you were still running this and you're looking at those images of long queues of people in situations where you haven't had to go through any kind of security clearance to get into those lines, at a time when the country is at war, with a country that we know has tried to commit acts of terrorism we've actually seen some already in Europe. Since the war started. How concerned would you be about, we're seeing the image right now, I would feel nervous myself standing in the middle of that line.
So when I was in office and we were in a heightened threat environment, I would be very transparent about what we see as the threat to the homeland without unnecessarily scaring people and sending them under their mattresses, but being transparent. I don't need an intelligence report now to know that we are in a heightened threat environment right now, and that the American people should be vigilant, aware when they're in large public gatherings, whether it's an airport, whether it's some sort of public event, a sporting event. I wouldn't discourage people from going to these events, but the government needs to be transparent right now with what's going on, what we've triggered through this war in Iran, and tell the American people what we are doing and what they can do. If you see something, say something does make a difference.
What government? Go ahead, Willie.
Well, just God forbid something happens that finally compels Congress to act. Oh, we better pay these guys now. Don't let it get to that point.
Don't let it get to that point, right.
So when we think about, it's hard to blame a TSO for not getting paid for 3 weeks to say, you know what, I'm not coming in until you can figure that out. But it makes you applaud further the officers that are there. And I think we've all talked about this flying the last couple of weeks. You stop and look them in the eye and thank them for their service. But can you just explain what it means beyond the lines, but from a security standpoint, to have 3, 4, or 5 TSOs servicing an entire terminal, for example?
First of all, even in normal times, TSOs live paycheck to paycheck. They don't make a lot of money. And now they're paying at the pump $3.89, $4.49 a gallon to get to work. What other sector of American society do we compel people to go work without getting paid? It's only the government, and it's a crucial function of our government. It's aviation security. I'm certain they are under stress. The travelers are under stress. The travelers are angry. I suspect that the presence of ICE at the airports is making them even more angry. And so you have a very stressful situation at a crucial checkpoint for aviation security right now. You have to remember, these are people who are there to look for bombs on the aircraft you're about to get on with your family. And they're not being paid to do this. Morale must be plummeting right now in this agency. And I worry that this is going to break the back of TSA.